to find out how to cool off. Hi there, friends and adventurers. Heather here from Heather's Hikes and Adventures, and I want to talk about a really serious topic today, despite my ridiculous intro. Sorry about that, by the way. Especially if you're new here, which if you are, welcome. I am not always that ridiculous, but I am from time to time, so it's best you find that out now. I do want to talk, like I said, though. As you can see on here, it's about almost 93 Fahrenheit, and that's in the shade where I am right now. I'm just going to put that there instead of trying to do it behind me. But it's really a temperature, the feel like temp, according to the weather service, is over 100 today, and the high temp today was about 95. And we're right around there. It's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so we're approaching that high temp for the day. And so I wanted to talk about something that I get asked about probably more than anything else, aside from maybe safety and how I pee or poop when I'm on the road, which I just did a video on, by the way. Check that out after this if you haven't already. But let's get back to the topic of heat today and how the heck I camp all summer long, going on my 3rd summer in a row now here in Florida, where it is hot, muggy, and buggy. Let's get into it. Before I get into my actual tried and true step-by-step method for staying comfortable when it's uncomfortable outside in the heat, I did want to get this little disclaimer out of the way. Alright, I'm making perhaps the most obvious my number one, because we gotta go there, friends. We got to, right? Hydrate, 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 and then hydrate some more. I try to keep this glued to my side during the summer here in Florida, especially. I'm super guilty about not hydrating well when it comes to colder temperatures because I'm not as hot and uncomfortable. However, it is so important to stay hydrated when you are sweating and when it is hot out. So I just wanted to get that out of the way before we go any further. Now, I also think it's important for me to mention again, especially if you're new to my channel. I know for those of you who are not new, you do know that this is just part-time for me and that this is a choice, but I did want to put that in this video as well for those that are specifically seeking out this information. I do not pretend to be a full-time vehicle dweller in Florida in summer. That in and of itself comes with its own unique set of challenges, and I know what a struggle that must be, because there are times when the methods I'm about to go through with you are just not always available options when you're out on the road. And so when all else fails and the heat gets to you and you have to escape it by going indoors somewhere or into the AC, that can really wear on you if you are doing this 24/7 without ever having a break at a home base or getting a hotel or being able to escape the heat for a little while without having to always be thinking about these methods and trying to employ them. So I just want to say that before I go further, because again, I want to be completely transparent. I have the option where worst comes to worst, nothing's working, I'm not able to use these methods because they're just not options wherever I am for whatever reason at that moment in time. I know that I can always flee to home base if I need to as a last resort. And a lot of people do not have that option. So again, just wanted to get that out of the way. But now I want to get into my actual methods, and I am telling you, I have perfected these over 3 summers now. And we are almost into July in Florida, and I have not had to break out the ice packs yet, which you'll hear about later. But I just want to say these methods work. If you can use them, they work. So let's talk about them. I'm gonna be Captain Obvious here for a minute and start with number one, most important over everything else. If you can only pick one thing from all of these, pick this one item, if and when you can. And that is, shade is your bestie. Okay, hear me out. I know that sounds obvious. I know you're thinking, duh, Heather, obviously shade is cooler than not shade. But let me illustrate this for you. It's about 2:30 in the afternoon here in Florida, and it's about 95 degrees out with a feel-like temperature of about 100 or more in the heat, out in the sun. And as you can see, there is not much shade to be had out here in this wide open expanse. However, if you'll notice, I happen to have found the only shady spot in this entire area. And this is important because I've only been standing out here in the sun for a couple of minutes and I'm already starting to sweat. However, I've been sitting in that area and wandering around and doing stuff all day long since about 8 o'clock this morning, and I have been super comfortable. So it really makes a huge difference the second I step into the shade. And that's crucial if you're able to find a spot. Even if you're not going to be hanging out in or near your vehicle, just to have it much cooler to come back to so that you have less work to get it to a livable temperature again if you turn it on. Use your window covers for more than just sleeping at night, more than just privacy, and more than just parking when you're leaving your vehicle unattended for long periods of time. Basically, I'm trying to say they help you beat the heat. This is another example of how I use my window covers during the day, especially when I'm parked somewhere. If I have my back hatch open and the sun is at its highest in the middle of the day, or if it's at an angle that's going to be shining into the back hatch and therefore turning this part into an oven and making it uncomfortable to sit under, or even just heating up my fridge unnecessarily and making it work harder, I have found that using this blocks a lot of that heat from even coming in, and it stays much cooler underneath. I also, when I'm not using my window covers at camp, like to just kind of sit them on top of my fridge when it's open for the same reason. It just acts as another shield, and it reflects that heat right back up off of the fridge, so the fridge doesn't have to work quite as hard when I'm here at camp. So that's just another thing that I like to do with my window covers. But as you'll notice, I only have one back here right now, and that's because I'm currently using the other one. Because of the fact that the sun is now starting to come out from these trees and will be coming out into the open here, it's going to start heating this side of my car. So I do not want to be letting heat in this side. This is when cross ventilation is not always ideal, having everything open. So what I'm going to do at this point is, I don't know if you can tell, I've already installed my window cover on this side. And when the sun dips a little bit lower, I'm going to go ahead and close. Actually, let's go ahead and do that right now. Now when I close up this door, between still having some ventilation up here in the screen and having the window cover on this window, it's going to prevent the sun and the heat from coming in here and heating up the inside of Tara too much to make it unbearable. Feel the breeze and create your own wind. No, I am not giving you fashion runway modeling advice. I'm talking about how you can help beat the heat. And you might be asking me, how the heck do you create your own breeze and your own wind? Well, you really can't, but for those of us with minivans or smaller that cannot fit a max air fan into our either budget or real estate or both, there are ways that you can kind of fake it and create your own breeze, wind flow, and kind of that same wind tunnel effect that having two max air fans or max air fan and ventilation can do. Let me explain. I started out my first summer camping just using my back hatch for airflow when I needed to be inside. I was using the shade and I had the back hatch open for that ventilation and airflow, and I had my front windows cracked with the screens. But let me tell you, game changer when you open a side door as well. It automatically creates that breeze where the air can come in one way and exit out the other. And if you pair that with fans, which we are going to get into here in a little bit because they deserve their own mention, it made such a huge difference. So I started out by having one of my sliders open and my back hatch open. And I'm not kidding you, when I close that slider, I instantly can feel the temperature change. I mean, within a matter of 5 to 10 minutes, I'm heating up and getting uncomfortable, even with the back hatch still open and that airflow. That's how much of a difference having the one side open is. So you can imagine when you're able to have both sides open plus the back hatch, holy moly. I'm not kidding you. I really think that reason and that reason alone is the main reason why I have been so comfortable camping this summer so far here in Florida. Like I said, it's almost July and I haven't needed to break out the ice packs. I haven't needed to escape somewhere else because I've specifically chosen places that have shade I can escape to and that enable me to open these. Obviously, when you're stealth camping, that's not an option. So ideally, that's where it comes into play, where you're not going to be arriving at that spot until after dark when it's substantially cooler and not at that dangerous level anymore. So that's where it's key when you bring stealth camping into it. But if you're at a campsite or if you're parked for the day somewhere where you can actually set up, and by set up, I just mean, you know, not have to be stealthy or blend in, it makes such a big difference. Oh my goodness. Now, let's talk about these lovely things right here. I've opened up the far door and you can see I've got one on that side too, so we're gonna walk around and take a look at that as well. I do have a cheapy $5 mosquito net that I've been using the past 2 years that has served me very well, that I tie on to the back here so that I have the same effect in the back. But knock on wood, the bugs are not too bad at the moment, so I haven't needed it. I do like the bonus privacy that it gives me, but you can see I've got it on this side as well, in addition to this stretchy van life favorite to keep bugs out, which, as you guys know, is absolutely essential here in Florida. And these two, spoiler, are going to be featured very heavily in my anti-bug how to camp in Florida all summer without having bugs eat you alive video that's going to be coming soon. So stay tuned for that. But they're also essential for beating the heat because they allow me to keep all of the doors open and allow a cross breeze and ventilation to come through, which is absolutely essential to keep my van from turning into an oven. And the reason I'm able to do that is because I don't have to worry about all of the bugs swarming me and eating me alive. So they do also afford me some additional privacy, which is a bonus. But again, that cross breeze that they create by having the doors open, so it's not the netting, it's the fact that I need the netting in order to keep everything open. While having a cross breeze may seem very logical, and I thought a no-brainer for myself. I quickly realized that it makes a huge difference in how you do this. And last but not least are my not one, but two Kuni 9-inch blade fans. I love these things. They have a low, medium, and high setting. On the low setting, they can go for 24 hours before needing a recharge, 12 hours on medium, and 6 hours on high. They give quite a good airflow, and you can direct them in pretty much any direction. So they're perfect for guiding airflow the way that you want to direct it and aiming it directly on you, which is key in regulating temperature. I have found that to be the other biggest game changer in all of my being able to maintain semi-comfortably the ability to keep camping all summer here in Florida, as having the second fan and having two good fans. The first year I had two small USB rechargeable fans that were great for what they were, but I mean, they could only do so much. They were little. They were not as powerful. They only took a little bit to charge. They rarely made it all the way through the night. So I still do keep them with me for backup, and I will link those below as well. But I am telling you, those Kuni, any kind of a clamp fan that you can change direction on, recharge, ideally by USB versus batteries so that you don't have to be constantly replacing your batteries. And any of those that are rated really well, that have a ton of good reviews. I initially wanted to get the Opolar fan because that's what everybody raved about, but I wasn't able to get it on Amazon. So I ended up going with the Kuni because that was supposed to be the most comparable. I can't speak to whether it is or not. All I can tell you is I love it. So much so that I added the second one, and it's made all the difference. One was a big game changer. Two, I'm telling you, if you only have one good fan, add a second and use both. Do it. Last thing that I want to talk about are just a couple little tips and tricks. And I know I mentioned the ice packs a few times already. That's one thing that I have used last summer and the summer before, especially once I got my refrigerator and I was able to put a couple of those gel cool packs in there. I just throw a couple of those babies in the fridge, get them nice and cold, and then you want to put them like on your chest, the back of your neck, under your breasts, like somewhere on your core, your armpit, under your knees. Anywhere like that will instantly cool your core down and make you feel cooler like that. So that's a good tip. And then another good tip, which I have brought up before but for different reasons, is my awesome Lunatech bottle. But any pressurized water bottle, Mr. Thingamajiggy, will do. Let's go back out there and I'll show you. I know we've shown her before, but once she's pumped up, I've got it currently set on the misting setting. So refreshing. And now I need to clean my glasses. Alright folks, that's gonna do it. I hope that you found this video helpful, maybe a little bit entertaining, slightly ridiculous I'm sure, but overall helpful and informative. Hopefully you have watched all the way here till the end and you feel a little more confident in being able to manage the unbearable temps in your area if you are in an area that gets really hot or uncomfortable, or even if you just want to keep from getting uncomfortably warm while you're camping or out parked somewhere for the day enjoying nature. I want to thank you so much for your time. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you found this helpful, feel free to throw a like on it. You know, maybe hit that subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And I will see you on the next adventure. Bye for now. It's getting hot out here.